Hello and welcome to Caching Waves. This is your Elliott Wave update for Bitcoin. Now, before I get into the analysis here, I wanted to bring some information to the forefront. And the first thing is I've marked the halving date here at April 17th, give or take a day or two. And I've also marked out in time the beginning of this move to the end of this move. If we are in a large correction here, which I do believe we are, this is my current primary count, how far out in time before this correction could be considered complete? Well, the guideline I use is 33%, which takes us into the middle of May, and that's past the halving. Now, before I proceed and explain this count, it has changed a little bit since my last update for a couple different reasons. We just came shy of the 1-to-1, but because we ran into previous resistance here and we just did a quick stop run before it, I'm going to give that a little bit of leeway. And we did go right past the 1.382 extension of our A wave. So I think this is the best fit for the current waves formed out. And in our shift pitchfork, we did come through the edge of it. So you might ask yourself, okay, how do we come back here into the halving? And maybe you're not aware of the information out there and what the costs are. But if you do a quick Google search and what the expected cost of a Bitcoin for the larger miners, what that will be post-halving, I'll show you that here. This is on Cointelegraph. And the expectation post-halving is it'll cost between $27,900 and $37,800. So if we go to that area, 27,900, if we come back and pivot at the previous high, which is my expectation, around 31,000, the most efficient miners will still be profitable. And for a short period, the larger miners, if we come to 37,868, they would be at break even. So I've gone through these previously. I haven't found any real evidence that post-halving we always get a bull market. Sometimes we correct into it and then take off, which I would argue is what's happening here, especially after today's action. But I'll show you that in a moment. My alternative, my bullish count, but I put low probability to it, would be like this. We're in the middle of a third wave in green. We're going to find support at the previous fourth in this area here at above, between 36,000 and 40,000. But based on today's wave, I'll show you that in a moment, it seems unlikely to me. Only because we would expect, I'll zoom in and explain that to you. But 1 second here, we'll get rid of that. And this is the one we're looking for. So we're looking for a pretty impulsive correction over the next couple months. So we'll go down to the 4-hourly. This has been a really tough count. Again, I just want to go back to the daily for a moment here. Just so you can see, there's our third of the third, our fifth of the third. We got our first divergence. We then had a complex correction here in an ending diagonal. We now have two divergences back to back, which is most of the time the top of a trend. When it's not is if this extended out in a very complex correction, and it would have to be some sort of triangle as well as a flat pattern where we completed in 5 waves to the downside, and this is an added flat. But again, because everything I mentioned to you previously, I think we're coming down. So going off yesterday's count, we were down in this area the last time I updated, and I expected another wave to the downside, which we finally got. And as you can see, we have a very clean 5-wave pattern from the upside. And explaining again why I don't think we're getting that shorter correction just to between 37 and 40K is we've made 5 waves down. If this was a 4th wave, we expect either a triangle or a flat pattern. We don't usually get zigzags in a 4th wave. That's where we can use Elliott Wave and say, what's the probability? What correction should we be getting here? And unless it's a pretty quick zigzag only, we go back to that count. Unless it's a pretty quick zigzag here, and that's all we get, then I'm bearish to the downside. And the other thing you'd expect is if this is our 1-2, it should take about the same amount of time. So it doesn't really make sense that we're getting a 4th wave here. So let's go back to the hourly. So the only way I'd see us bullish is we'd make a zigzag, quick zigzag down to that 40K area, then come up and make another 3 waves, then come back for 5, and this would all make another flat, which would just drag on this correction. Now we can do that, and I just want to show you how that looks. Like for example, it would start to look like something like this, where it's very difficult to get lean into any specific count. We're just channeling up. We can do the same thing here, but just in a larger version. Just channel up. But I'm still bearish because we're just breaking. We just broke this low, double bottomed. We're losing support, where here we kind of kept support moving to the upside. So what do I expect from here? Okay. So I pulled our fibs off our 1 and our 2. Again, this is what I believe is the high. We then came down to the 1.618 extension. Go to linear. We can see we hit it bang on, the 1.618 extension. And we would expect our 5th wave to make a new low. So it technically can be complete here at this level. And we expect a correction up between the 50 and the 618, which is right here between 44,978 and 45,917. But you can also see we didn't hit our 5th wave extensions, which is between 39,420 and 40,212. So what that means is this is either a triangle and we bottomed. It's either a triangle and we bottomed for our 4th, which is valid. But if we are complete, I would expect this to turn impulsive, where we get a 5, 3, 5 for a zigzag. But the other thing you have to keep in mind, this is why I always look for these. We did not reach targets for our 5th. We technically made a new low, so it's valid, but we didn't reach targets. And this is pulled from the first wave up here in 3. And I added the 1.236, 1.382, and the 1.618. And we're right in the area we would expect a B wave in a correction. Invalidated past 40,406. So you have to keep in mind, if we roll over here, make another 5 waves, that is also valid. Because what this can be making is just an A, B, C to the upside. Put that in white so you can see. And this entire move is just a correction in itself, and then we get our 5th wave to the downside. So you need to keep these things in mind, that we could be in the middle of a correction or we can be complete. So what I usually do in these moments is wait for the first 5 waves to pan out. And then if I want to trade it, I would trade just the C wave up between the 50 and the 618. I would take my pivots, target the 1-to-1 extension whenever they're in, and take profit from there. So I'm playing just the C wave, not the entire move up, in which case I'd flip short and get that larger move to the downside. But that way you're protecting against this move to the downside where we're in the middle of a correction. The only way you'd want to take a trade here is if you're going to enter more than once. And because we're in that B zone, I'm myself going to wait for either the move to the upside or wait for us to hit targets. And if this is the A, B, C, could already be in. I'd expect either a impulse in 5 here, down to the downside, hit our targets at the 200, 236, and then look for a rebound, break previous resistance, use it as support, and then take my entry like so. So those are the 2 ways I would trade it personally. Not financial advice, just trying to educate how to take profitable trades. So at the moment, sidelined in this one, I'm waiting for either an impulse to the upside and longing the C as a scalp, in which case I'll turn short after that, or waiting for this to make a quick 5 waves down, hit target, break previous resistance, use it as support, then take this long to the upside. But just targeting between the 50 and the 618, and I'll have to re-pull those fibs whenever it's done. All right, guys, that's it for Bitcoin. I hope I showed you how to navigate this properly. But once this wave is complete, remember it's only the first wave down in an A wave on the larger trend. So we're just getting started if my analysis is correct and the top is in. And where I would get concerned and probably reevaluate my count is if we pass above the 618. And obviously this high is the absolute invalidation of the down move. All right, guys, that's it for Bitcoin. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want my updates right away. I am going to trade this, so I will update this, but it's just not ready at the moment. It doesn't reach any of my necessary rules to trade this. All right, thanks for watching.